We have got arguably the biggest game of the year lined up for you as the San Francisco 49ers fly to Philadelphia and have an NFC Championship rematch from last season. This is going to be just an amazing game. This is going to be the game that we all deserve, that I think everybody deserved, even the players deserved last year with the NFC Championship game. We all know what happened with Brock Purdy, and then was it Josh Johnson was their backup quarterback, then got the concussion as well.
I believe so.
This is going to be the game that we all deserve here. Both teams are, well, the 49ers, I think, are playing at just the full capacity, all cylinders go. Eagles had a great victory today, arguably the game of the year so far, overtime victory over the Buffalo Bills, where they had to score a touchdown or at least kick a field goal to tie, and they went all the way down the field and scored on a Jalen Hurts 15-yard touchdown. I can't remember how long it was. But in general, though, they've just been grinding out these games, and they just keep winning these games. It just doesn't matter how they win; they just seem to just keep getting it done here. What are your overall thoughts on both these teams so far to this point? Eagles have a 2-game lead. I'm pretty sure over a 2-game lead over the 49ers when it comes to the number 1 overall seed in the NFC, which is huge for playoffs. So this game for both teams is vital when it comes to getting home field advantage.
Yeah. So both teams, the San Francisco 49ers came out of the gates absolutely swinging. They were on fire in the first 5 games. They had a little skid there in the middle with some injuries, but everybody seems to be back. Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, all those guys are back. This offensive line is back playing at a really high level. And Brock Purdy is, I don't want to underplay what he's done, but the best way I can explain it is that he is getting the ball to the right guy just about every time. And that's a hard thing to do in the NFL. And with that being said, the 49ers, I think in the last 2 games have had over like 350 yards after catch that have allowed Brock Purdy to put up the numbers that he has. And just the playmakers on the 49ers are just absolutely ridiculous. Like, it is just insane what Kyle Shanahan and crew has been able to assemble over in the Bay. And the Eagles, actually, they didn't start out looking that great, but over the last few weeks, I think this offense has really turned a corner and is improving dramatically. I mean, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, I believe, is injured.
He broke his arm. They didn't put him on IR, so he's coming back here. Potentially could be back for this game, if not potentially week 14.
Okay, so he is that's a pretty big blow over the middle, but still, these weapons are just phenomenal. And then Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift. Or not Miles Sanders. DeAndre Swift and
Kenneth Gainwell and
Boston Scott, sorry. That's a really good trio. This Eagles offensive line is probably of everything their biggest weapon. They have the best offensive line at football. And it's going to be really interesting to see kind of how these teams match up. I remember when we were going through at the beginning of the season, week 13, 49ers at Eagles was one of the first games we circled, and like that is going to be an amazing football game. So I do have one thing that I think is going to make this game really interesting. The Philadelphia Eagles have the 29th ranked passing defense in the NFL. That is horrible. Mm-hmm. That is really bad. One of the things last year, I think the secondary is aging, and that's I'm going to say why that they're 29th. But I don't know, even with Jalen Carter coming in, this pass rush I don't think is quite the same. They're still very good, but it's very hard to replicate a 70 sack season by a defense.
I will say, I just to kind of defend that a little bit, I feel like they're leading a lot. They're leading a majority of the time. So when they get in these 10-point leads, 2 touchdown leads, teams are just going to start throwing it more, and they're going to be running against them less. And I think that's one of the things, though, that Fletcher Cox, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis had a whale of a game today. He almost ran down Josh Allen. Like, dude's fast. He's like 350 pounds or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at I'd just start crying if he was running at me. But he's just large. But it just them right there, and then you have Brandon Graham still, and then Hassan Reddick on the outside as well. It's just a defensive front that just keeps coming at you. So and right now, and then how many sacks do they have on the day today? So it looks like they have 32 total sacks on the year so far, and that's just. I could agree with you that I think the secondary is aging a little bit. They need to improve a little bit in that area.
Yeah.
But in general, though, I still feel like they have an above average pass defense if we're just looking at the overall total yards allowed so far. And for example, today Buffalo actually went down a lot of times and kind of moved the ball pretty easily down the field. Throw the ball through the air. But then when they got to the red zone, that's things really seem to clamp down.
They do
and gave them some fits.
They do adopt, I feel like, a bend don't break style, right? Like they might allow you in between the 20s and give you a little bit more space, but when push comes to shove, they'll hold you to a field goal.
Yeah.
But still, when you're playing a team that is, I would say, the most evolved offense in the NFL in the San Francisco 49ers, that style of defense will lose you a football game. You have to make plays. I don't want to say nonstop because it's impossible, especially in the modern day NFL, for defenses to constantly make plays. But you need to stifle drives. You need to force them into third and longs and playing out of phase. If they are allowing the 49ers to get into a rhythm in between the 20s, Kyle Shanahan is going to find a way to score touchdowns. And that to me is just going to be a really interesting battle here between two of the top teams in the NFL. Is just, can this Philadelphia Eagles defense really stifle a fully healthy 49ers team? So it's going to be interesting. This is probably the most anticipated game in my opinion throughout the whole season. And granted, as the season goes on, these games get more and more important. So,
well, and up to this too, if we're looking at from both teams' perspectives, if the Eagles win, they take 3 games up on the 49ers. And the final 3 games of the season for the Eagles, it goes Giants, Cardinals, Giants. So, and then they do have a game against the Cowboys, I believe, is week 14.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check that. And then I believe they also play the Seahawks in between all that. So they go Niners, Cowboys, Seahawks, Giants, Cardinals, Giants. I still like their chances against the Cowboys. Definitely like their chances against the Seahawks. And I definitely love their chances over the final 3 games. So for the Eagles looking in, it's like not to look ahead, but it is one of those. It's like if we can win this game, get that 3-game advantage over the 49ers, gets us that much closer to almost like borderline like giving home field advantage if they win the division. They'd still only be 2 games up on the Cowboys. The Cowboys beat the Seahawks.
And they have to go to Dallas, where Dallas is undefeated at home so far this year.
So there's still a lot of stuff on the line for sure. Yeah. But it just helps kind of just keep like the pedal to the metal going. And so I think one thing too, going back to Brock Purdy as well, you mentioned this. I can understand maybe an argument that he is just reaping the benefits of being in the best offensive mind in general, but he still has to pass the ball, still has to facilitate.
Yeah.
He is leading the league in overall QB rating so far. And then when it comes to overall passing yards, he's up there in the top 10. He's just shy of 3,000 total yards so far through 11 games on the season. So he's going to break 4,000 for sure. Potentially even get up to 45. I think if they keep having some
and that's
offensive games.
I did preface that. I was saying I don't want to undersell what Brock Purdy is doing, because playing quarterback in the NFL is not an easy thing, especially in a system like Shanahan's, where granted they do a good job of, I think, simplifying it and making it as easy as possible for quarterbacks, but it is one of the most evolved and one of the most technical schemes in the NFL. So I don't want to sell them short on that, or sell Brock Purdy short. He does just have, I think, over 350 yards of yak in the last 2 games, which is just no other quarterback in the NFL is getting that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah, that's absolutely fair. This is going to be a phenomenal game. I mean, I think we all could agree how deeply disappointed we were how the NFC Championship game And then even if you're an Eagles fan, you're happy to win, but you're like, man, that was kind of a stinker of a game just with the way everything panned out. They had to have Christian McCaffrey play QB. So we'll have to see. It's definitely going to be the game of the week for sure. So let's get into predictions. But before we do that, if you have not already, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button to help us reach our goal of 2,333 subscribers by the end of the calendar year. The reason why it is that specific is because if we hit that number, we would have grown our channel and grown our community of like-minded football fans, so to say, who love the game of football, to 2,000 in the calendar year specifically. So help us reach our goal. We're about 350 away so far. So it's a lofty goal, but with your help, we can all get there. So like, subscribe, and Ryan, who do you have winning this game and why?
So I am going to go with the road team here. I'm going to go against my usual mantra. Usually when a team is undefeated at home this late into the season, I pick that team. However, 49ers look like they're clicking on all cylinders. I think they have a chip on their shoulder from last year's game. I think they want to come back in here and kind of stick it to the team that knocked them out of the playoffs. The playmakers, as much as I love Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, they have a four-headed monster over in San Francisco with George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk. And then Trent Williams, best left tackle in the league. This San Francisco offensive line is no joke. And then I still come back to they have all of these weapons, and the Philadelphia Eagles are the 29th ranked passing defense in the NFL. And to me, that's just not a winning recipe against a Shanahan-led team, especially one I think that is going to have something to prove in this game. And lastly, I know this isn't a huge concern, but Lane Johnson was inactive for
that was a game time.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the there it is. Zach Cunningham pulled his hamstring. Fletcher Cox pulled his groin in the matchup. Lane Johnson, Dallas Goedert, Grant Calcaterra, two tight ends there. All those guys are injured. Fletcher Cox and Zach Cunningham, those are unlikely to be able to play in the next week with a pulled groin and a pulled hamstring. It's just unlikely. And if they are, they'll be playing in very limited reps. So that to me all points towards a big advantage, I think, for the San Francisco 49ers, and I'm going to take that advantage.
No, I can absolutely see how the 49ers would come in, have some things to prove, and they've been clicking on all cylinders. The team's great. They've been playing great. They had that little injury bug there in the middle of the season where they lost 3 games in a row, but everybody seems healthy now. Trent Williams, Deebo Samuels. So I just still look at this Philadelphia team, and they started off slow today. They got down 17-7, but just were able to grind out another victory. They beat the Bills. They beat the Chiefs. They have beat the Cowboys. They were just able to find victories here. They're able to find ways to win. And one of the things, too, I will say, and to your point, they do have a giant four-headed monster. Giant, like McCaffrey, Samuel, Kittle, Ayuk. But after that, though, there is just a big drop-off from the skill position players. And I know it's kind of obvious, too, because when you have the best running back, receiver, tight end, or one of the best in each of those positions in the league, there is going to be a giant drop-off. But I just feel they can't get other contributions from some of the other players. Outside of maybe Elijah Mitchell, I think he's a good substitute for Chris McCaffrey. While with the Eagles, and this is one of the things as well, I feel like they can win in just so many different ways. Defensively, I think they will be able to grind out a victory. I think they can go win a shootout, just how we saw today, in just sloppy, wet conditions here. So I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. I'm going to go with Jason Kelce, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, all those guys. I'm going to go with that side at home, game of the week. That place is going to be electric. If there's ever a time I wanted to go to Philadelphia, this would be the time I'd want to be in the stadium for this game, because it's just going to be so stinking loud because everybody knows how much is on the line here.
Yeah. No, this is a huge game. Like I said in this video, I have not been this excited for a matchup this season. And like this could have this could be NFC Championship preview. This game could decide where the NFC Championship is played. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. We're going to disagree. I'm going to go with the 49ers. You're going to go with the Eagles. But so let's go ahead and wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Tyler and I were trying to get to 2,333 subscribers. That would put us at 2,000 subscribers in a calendar year. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. While you're down there, go ahead, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Is it going to be the San Francisco 49ers? Is it going to be the Philadelphia Eagles? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.